Hello and welcome to the mill. I am your host, Dusty Crane, and this week, I thought it'd been a while since we did one of these first few turns videos, and I kind of like doing it. We haven't talked about Scythe in a while, so let's go ahead and get into it. I went ahead and used ScytheKick to generate my random faction and player mat, and I came up with, that's right, I have Saxony here. Saxony, if you aren't aware, well, specifically, I have Mechanical Saxony, and I thought, let's talk about not just like my first few turns or whatever, but let's talk about kind of a really high level kind of strategy in that um, a lot of the way that maybe is a good way to play Saxony is to kind of look at their backstory, to kind of learn about the character of Gunther von Duisburg. And I do not speak German in the least bit, so I very much apologize for that for that pronunciation. But Gunther has a couple of wolves with them, and they are knocked in tag, which is day and night, as I understand, not in that order. But just in the rule book, it lays out that during the war, Gunther and his wolves, they led elite mech squads across the forests and mountains of Saxony and Europa, and his name became feared and respected, and his jacket grew heavy with medals of honor. And now that the war is over, the emperor asked Gunther to embark east and seek fresh opportunities to expand the Saxony Empire, to expand the foothold on unclaimed land surrounding the factory. And so what their special ability is, or what their faction ability is, to dominate, there's no limit to the number of stars you can place from completing objectives and winning combat. So that kind of gives you an idea of maybe how we want to consider playing Saxony. And, maybe we want to be aggressive. And now, we ended up drawing, it starts with relatively low combat power with 1, but we have 4 combat cards. And as you can see, we didn't do too bad. Definitely having that 5 and that 4 is helpful. Let's go ahead and check out what we started with for objectives. We have stockpile for the winter, control a territory with 9 or more resource tokens, at least 1 of each type, on it at the end of your turn. Not terribly difficult, I don't think. And balanced workforce, have the same number of workers and recruits. So as of the start, we basically need to get a couple of enlistments out right now. And yeah, that's going to be difficult. So not necessarily impossible, but let's go ahead and, just kind of look over what we have here. Backing out here, so our bonus tile is just building our structures in a row. That's not necessarily helpful. Our home territory for Saxony, you can see, it's pretty good. We have iron available to us, and we have oil available to us, and a village. Now, Gunther's ability is we can hit multiple encounter tokens, or I guess that's really anybody's, but we can do several of these achievements, or these. Boy, I'm just losing my words here. We can do our objective cards here, and we can also win multiple combat stars. So let's see. We know we have oil and iron available to us. So looking at our board here. Oil's not really one of those money-making pursuits for us. However, it is over trade, and it can make our mechs significantly cheaper, and that is one of our big money makers on our board here. We don't have any 3s, but we do have a few, or 3 2-coin makers. So when I'm considering my first turn, I want to make getting a mech cheaper. So I'm going to need some oil to get that done. Let's see here. I have a worker on oil, and I have a worker on iron. So, you know what? I think for turn 1, I'm going to go ahead and produce. And as you can see, I've been thinking about this a little bit. So that's already there. I'm going to produce 1 oil and 1 iron. And let me back out this here a little bit. 1 oil and 1 iron. And I'm not going to bother putting this on the map right now because I'm not playing against anyone. This is really just to illustrate, maybe what I do my first few turns. So I'd start the game probably with a produce action. I'm going to get 1 iron and 1 oil, and you can see I got those right there. For my second turn, I think I want to make these mechs cheaper. So for my second turn, I'm going to go ahead and pay one of my 6 starting coins. So there's one of them. Drop it in the bucket there. And I am going to go ahead and trade for 2 oil. And I'll just move those over here. And that puts me in a position that I can go ahead and upgrade on this turn. And so I'm going to go ahead and spend those oil. And I am going to go ahead and upgrade. I'm going to upgrade my bolster action, I think, because if I do decide to play Saxony as kind of warmongers or aggressive, which really is you want to be strategic about, but if I'm going to play that way, I'm going to need more power, I'm going to need more combat cards, but I'm going to start with upgrading my bolster because it is so low right now with just the one. So I'm going to upgrade that, and I'm actually going to just move it right down here and make it cheaper to deploy a mech. I think that is the right way for me to go. So I guess I would move this over here. And when I do that, I'm sorry, I was already in the right place. So I did my upgrade action. I upgraded bolster and made deploy cheaper. So you kind of probably get an idea of what I'm thinking for my third turn. But I don't have 2 iron yet. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and produce. I'm going to go ahead and produce another oil and another metal. I say iron. Is that in there somewhere? I don't know. But I got what I need now for deploying a mech. I don't have enough for my bottom row action, but I think for now that's fine. So that would be the end of my third turn. I think I'm just going to go ahead and produce 1 oil and 1 iron. Now turn 4 is going to be kind of exciting because I'm going to go ahead and pay another coin, and I'm going to go ahead and bolster. So let me back up here. I'm going to increase my power 1, 2, 3 because I already upgraded that. Let's zoom back down into here. So I got my 3 power, my bolster. Now I'm going to go ahead and pay these 2 iron or 2 metal, and I'm going to deploy my first mech. And Saxony has some pretty cool mech abilities that allow them to get mobile pretty quick. The one I like to start off with most, I don't like going right to river walk. I really like underpass, and the reason I like underpass is you can move between any mountain you control and any tunnel. Now that also includes like your mine, and so it really gives you options to, really move around the board. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Every place you see one of these irons, obviously, that's a mountain. So if I move one of my mechs over here, I mean, you can see just how the board opens up to me. I can, drop into any tunnel. So these are all considered, adjacent to each other. I could drop it on Roosviet. I could drop in right here next to the factory and get to the factory quick. And, if I do want to be a warmonger, having access to the factory early and maybe setting up base there, I could make people come to me and help me complete my combat stars if I wanted. Or, if I wanted to make a hasty retreat or something, especially once you upgrade the speed and it gives you just your mobility is incredible, how far and how fast you can go. That is definitely one of the strengths of Saxony. So I do think that my mech that I'm going to deploy is going to be my underpass mech, and I'm just going to go ahead and move him right to the mountain. Why not? Give me some movement options. So it is here on turn 4, and I've already got a mech deployed. I'm also going to go ahead and get a couple of those coins that I've spent the last couple turns and get those back. And I am pretty happy with that turn. I think for turn 5, I think I'm going to start moving a little bit. I do want to get some more workers on the board, and I do want to get Gunter moving out on the map, I definitely want to hit up this encounter token. Um, and I want to keep working towards getting another mech out. So I think for right now, I'm going to go ahead and take this worker and I'm going to move him to the village. Um, and I'll move Gunter here to this position right here in hopes of getting him to this encounter space to see what's available and then getting on and outward onto the board. Now, before I wrap this up, because I don't want to do, I don't like doing these turn for turn for turn videos. There's not a, I don't like memorizing turn orders, and I don't know that this is necessarily the most ideal way to play Saxony. This is just, kind of what I would do on my first few turns. At this point, I'm really not considering either of my objective cards. I really am wanting to focus, I think, on getting mechs out and um, you know doing some upgrades. Now, while I'm doing that, I'm going to build power. Let's talk about like what my next mech I would deploy though is disarm. This one is really nice if I want to be aggressive because before combat on a territory with a tunnel, opponents get -2 power. Now, it helps me conserve power, but literally anytime an opponent is on any of these tunnels, I can take 2 power before we even start combat. So if I'm going aggressive with Saxony, I definitely want that mech deployed. And then my third mech is definitely going to be the speed mech, um, because then you'll just see just how fast you can move along the board. Now, one thing I want to note, because I have seen this misplayed before in a game, is with I'm sorry, what is the name of that? Underpass. Yes, thank you. With Underpass, um, controlling mountains. I saw somebody say, well, okay, since tunnels are like mountains to me, I get to take -2 power. Now, it's really important to note in the rule book where it describes that underpass ability, it says for the sake of movement. So you cannot consider, for combat purposes, you cannot consider these mountains to be tunnels. That would just be incredibly overpowered, but that would be super cool. I will concede that. Um, but yeah, that is what I have for my first 5 turns of Mechanical Saxony, and I would love to know if I just totally botched it. Some of you guys have got more plays probably in the first 6 months of owning this game than I will, probably ever have in my life. Now, maybe not, because Scythe is my favorite game, but um, there's plenty of people that are far more strategic than me. So I would love to know, did I play this wrong? Or maybe not wrong, but if I am going aggressive, was there a better way to go about it? Or I know that there's also a prevalent thought that if Saxony is going aggressive, you want to end the game kind of early because you don't want to give other people ability to build up their military or get mobile. Saxony can spread out and claim territory very fast, which helps with earning coins toward the end of the game. It helps limit some of the mobility of the other factions. And yeah, so I would be really curious. Would you have gone with, let's see, turn 1 I produced, turn 2 I traded and upgraded, turn 3 I produced, turn 4 I bolstered and deployed a mech, and turn 5 I moved in pursuit of an objective card. Let's go ahead and let's just for giggles, let's see if this encounter, oh, I just knocked over Gunter. If this encounter would have helped at all. Let's go ahead and take one of these cards. And let's see what we got here. Pick fruit and keep a few for yourself. Gain 2 food and 1 popularity. Pay the lady to supply the empire with her apples. Pay 2 to gain 1 worker and 3 food. Or banish the lady. Pay 2 popularity to build 1 structure. Boy, I think since I'm wanting to get workers out, and I think since I start with a little extra money, I would probably go with option 2. I'm going to pay the lady to supply the empire with her apples. I almost said our animals, and pay 2 coin to gain 1 worker and 3 food. I think that one would probably benefit us most at this point. Now, obviously, I might not have gotten that one if other people grabbed up their encounters first, but yeah, that is my first few turns of Mechanical Saxony. Let me know what you think in the comments, what I did right or what I did wrong or what I could have done better to maybe, could I have, I don't think I could have got my mech out any sooner, but you might know better than me. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a great week. And actually, speaking of, I just want to say one more thing before I close up this episode of The Mill. It has been a really rough week out there in the world as of the time that I am recording this. There was some senseless violence in New Zealand, and I just want to say, take care of each other. Be kind. Put more good out into the world than the world is maybe putting some bad out there. Just try and do your best to be there for each other, to support one another. The gaming community is a incredible community. Getting more diverse by the day, and I think that ultimately that will serve us well as gamers. And so I would just ask, do something kind for someone, do something nice. Doesn't have to be a stranger, but I mean, if it is, you might just make someone's day and make a bigger difference than you think. That's all I have for you this week. I hope this was helpful. I hope you have a great week. Is that too much to ask? All right. Thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.